Well, hello, Special K. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's so great to see you. I know we had our time change today, so I'm glad we were
Yep.
on the same page. Your time's the same. I'm the one that changed.
Yeah. Late at night for me, but it's all good.
Yeah, in Vietnam, you're on the other side of the world, about 11 hours ahead of me now instead of 12.
Hmm.
So, well,
Yeah.
good. It's great to see you, and I'm excited about our topic today, friendship. And so, as I was doing the research, and I'll share a little bit in a minute on our slides, and then links to all the research in the show notes below. I think post-pandemic, it's been hard for people to establish new friendships, to
Yeah.
maintain some friendships they've had for years. There's kind of a tilting in the
Yeah.
world of particularly adult friendships. So I'm excited
Yeah.
about what we'll talk about today.
Yeah. Me too. There's a lot we can get into.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about your expat friendships. I know when some of the people I've talked to who travel, they hear English and they come over and start talking to you when they're in a foreign country.
You know, I don't know if I ever really felt that, but um, it's definitely good to meet some foreigners sometimes.
Yeah.
I actually probably enjoy the locals more, but there is a language barrier though, so that is a bit of a challenge.
Well, I'm going to go to present mode and let's see if you can see this. Okay, can you see the slide?
I like this front image here.
Well, you think about the kinds of friends we've had over the years. Here's some like teenage
Yeah.
friends having fun in their sunglasses and talking kind of at the beach and boy pals, they're kicking a ball in the street. you know.
Yeah.
Guy friends, they're laughing about something that's cracking each other up. So yeah, the different kinds of friends we have, it's nice to see here.
Yeah.
So we'll just spend a couple minutes on this and kind of share a coaching perspective on our coaching channel about friendship. Here's a slide about female friends. And I had a female friend moment with my friend Angela yesterday. We went to see a movie together, and the end of the movie, we were laughing through tears. That was the emotion in the movie.
Yeah.
And women bond that way. They laugh, they have tears, and so on. So it was a positive experience, but a moving one. And I thought this is so totally female girl, girl bonding at this movie.
Yeah.
So female friendships can be more dependent on face to face. That I've really found this true with clients. Men
Hmm.
sometimes the idea of like pulling up to the bar and talking side by side so you're not in each other's face can be more
Hmm.
comfortable than women who want to be face to face. They want to read all the emotions and so on. So the
Hmm.
idea of saying, you go, girl, that there's this supportive component that's
Hmm.
predominant in female friendship. Regular contact with a close friend is key. If out of contact, she's more likely to assume that she and her female friend have grown apart or is no longer interested or may assume the friendship is over. Sometimes this happens when one of your friends is newly dating someone. All of their time is kind of sucked up into that new relationship. And I think some guy friends have this happen too. So regular touching in with how's it going? I have something I want to tell you. Regular contact is important in female friendships.
Hmm.
And then women are more likely to refrain from taunting and humor out of fear it may hurt their friends' feelings. So I have a tough skin and I have that kind of humor. So my friends, women friends do also, but most women friends don't, respond well to remarks that might seem offensive or disrespectful out of humor.
Yeah.
So generally, that's not where you start with female friends. And with male friends, we have a couple of guys shooting hoops here. Um, Making friends can seem uncomfortable, kind of even admitting that you need friends can seem uncomfortable, like it's a weakness instead of how humans function. But
Hmm.
this comment on the research said, here's a really cool thing. Men do hard things. They have a long history of doing difficult things to improve their health. You'll find them doing hill sprints, triathlons, right? Ice baths, chalky, yucky protein shakes. They make the effort. And for
Mhm.
improvements, they problem solve. And so it's worth the effort. They also recommend for making men friends not to overthink it, just to put yourself out there, to relax, take a deep breath, and just be you. It's what friends actually want from each other. But sometimes it takes the courageous person to go first. And then to try different things and just find a rhythm for yourself. Trivia night, sport or new hobby, a dart league. Tell
Mhm.
people you're expanding your friend group. And so accept invitations to parties and barbecues. If you're the kind of person that always turns those down, you might want to let people know, okay, I'm open to the occasional invitation
Mhm.
now. I know you never invite me because I always say no, but I'm going to switch it up. So, tell the friends you have that you're looking to build a wider friend group. And then here's a slide about some of the research about friends, how this happens, how we got where we are. Then my next slide is memes. So this won't take too long. But friend relationships have some ambiguity that's a little different than a romantic relationship or like a boss employee relationship or like a marriage
Mhm.
relationship. Those sort of boundaries and guidelines are pretty clear. But friendships are different. Sometimes I've had a movie friend, we go see chick flicks. And that's really all we do. Sometimes we have lunch or dinner before or after, and we catch a movie and we chat about it. That is the sum total of our friendship. And other friends are, more involved intimately in your life and your goals and your dreams. And so if people are not good at communicating what their expectations are, you can, hit some turbulent waters in a friendship. Friendships are usually about something like shared interests, like chick flicks, or a set of values that create a commonality. So this is my friend from church, so we go to the same church. Or this is my friend from a quilting circle, or my friend from the poker clubs. I know him because I play poker at the same spot where he plays poker, so that's how we know each other. So when you look at the kind of friends you've had in your life and you want new friends like that, look at what brought you together. Was it being roommates at some point? Was it having classes together? Was it being coworkers? When you see a person frequently, it's easier to become their friend because you have a comfortable familiarity with them already.
Mhm.
Then commonality. So we laugh at the same things, we have the same sense of humor, or we enjoy the same music, movies. We both love baseball. I have a friend who sings opera. She's an opera buff, and I can handle about a teacup's worth of opera, and she likes five
Mhm.
gallons of opera at a time. And so we
Mhm.
one time went to a movie that was a recorded performance of an opera at the Met in New York. And I was so lost. It was in a different language, and I'm trying to read the subtitles to understand the story. The music and the sound was beautiful, but I had no idea what was going on. And she
Yeah.
loved it, of course, because she's an opera buff. So you have to have some commonality. People maintain friends to the extent that they continue to meet each other's expectations of the friendship. And the challenge is those expectations are often unspoken. Um, but then friendships change when baseline agreements about your worldview change. Your friendships can feel like they're all of a sudden in an earthquake zone. I was
Mhm.
mentioning before we started recording that I was watching a video about a gal who'd been a vegan for 6 years, trying to solve an autoimmune challenge she had. And she finally went through a different protocol with some fasting and then tried carnivore for 30 days. And that seemed to clear up. For her body
Mhm.
chemistry, that seemed to be the right answer for her. But she lost most of her friends in the vegan community because it wasn't just, oh, this is your diet. They have a worldview about how it's wrong to eat animals. And so it
Mhm.
wasn't just, oh, you switched up your diet. It's like you're now
Mhm.
a bad person. So sometimes things change for us and we find, wow, I'm
Yeah,
being
and
exiled from a community.
that's
And
definitely true about politics now as well.
Oh, I think so too.
People and friendships or even family relationships or even marriages over
Right.
political differences now because there's so much hatred for
Yeah.
the other side on each side. So,
And I know in my mind, I think, why does it matter to you who I voted for? I'm the person that is your coach or that is your neighbor or, someone you run into at church. But for some people, it's a very high priority for their worldview. And so friendship is not possible from their point of view. And so sometimes it's a simple ending. And this is the last part of this slide. And there's a quote here from the research. We get separated by time and space, or we get separated by how our lives are organized, and it may not feel like we're friends anymore. So I've known some moms who met up at the kids' gym classes or the soccer games, or their kids were in the same elementary school. And when the schools change or they're out of the soccer league, you don't see those families or friends anymore. So the friendship can just kind of melt away because you're not in the same place in the same circumstances regularly. There isn't anything that happened between you. It's just time and space has separated you. And that's just normal. I mean, people move on. So, but it's a big topic, friendship. And okay, so here's one of my favorite parts. We have memes. Okay, I'm moving the control block so I can say them. Okay, so here's my favorite one to the left. You see the two teddy bears. Sometimes I just want someone to hug me and say, I know it's hard. You're going to be okay. Here's chocolate and $6 million.
yeah,
So far, that hasn't happened to me, but I'm open to it.
right, right, yeah, yeah,
At the top, we have these two women dancing, or it looks like a woman and a man dancing. We'll always be friends because you match my level of crazy. So,
yep,
yeah. Then here, that's a horrible idea. What time? Friends who will
yeah,
back you sometimes, even it's like, we probably shouldn't do this. What time are we meeting up? And then
yeah,
here's one again, the same sense of humor. You had me at, I hate that bitch too. So sometimes kind of a shared difficulty with the same person can be a bonding moment for new friends. Um, at the top corner, it says, we've been friends for so long, I can't remember which one of us is the bad influence.
right,
So, and then at the bottom, from the movie Step Brothers, I think. Friendship is so
yeah,
weird. You just pick a human you've met and you're like, yep, I like this one. And then you just do stuff with them.
yeah, yeah. That's good. No, those are good memes. That's
Okay.
true though. That last one is true.
Yeah, you find that you do stuff with them. And so I think if we look at our friends, sometimes they're compartmentalized. My friend is my movie friend, or my friend is my friend from church, or
Yeah,
our kids go to school together. So we're sort of family friends in that way. Other friends seem like they're friends for life. I have a couple of friends for, more than a decade. And so we've shared all kinds of things. Even though our circumstances have changed, we've made an effort to stay connected and not to let things melt away. I know you have some thoughts you want to share, so thanks for surviving my slides. What would you like to share about friendship?
well, I wrote some stuff down we can talk about here. So we can do Aristotle. I go back to Aristotle a lot of times.
Of course you do.
Yeah, so he said there's three types of friends. And I mean maybe there's more or whatever, but we can look at this analysis. He said friends of use. So that's friends that are useful to have. Like you get some utility out of it. So that's like, hey, my friend the mechanic, he gives me a good deal on car repairs. It's like,
My friend the barber, my friend the.
yeah, you call these people friends because they sort of hook you up. Maybe you hook
Mhm,
them up. So it's a useful thing.
mhm,
Then there's friends of pleasure. So that's like friends you like to do fun stuff with. So
mhm,
that's like
mhm,
drink or do
mhm,
activities or hobbies or
mhm.
whatever. You get together, you play pickup basketball or something.
Shoot pool.
Um, Play pool. And then he said there's friends of virtue or friends of the good. So that means people who you choose to be friends with them because they make you a better person. Like they're just excellent. They're
Mhm.
just really good people. They just have a lot of value. Like it's just you learn from them, you grow from them, like you want to be like them, you admire them, so you choose to spend time with them so that you can kind of become more like them. And he said that's the ideal kind of friend to have. Um, because it's true, it's like you are the five people you spend the most time with, right?
Mhm.
So, again, that's the problem with like friends of pleasure. Maybe you have a lot of fun with people, but if you're hanging out with people that drink or smoke or do drugs or just do like low quality activities all the time, like stuff that doesn't really advance your life,
Mhm.
well, that's who you're going to be. You're going to end up being that person because those are the five people you hang out with the most.
So do you limit your time with those people? How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's good to limit it. It's good to develop a mindset where you realize, hey, I'm going to enjoy these people while I'm here, but I'm not going to become like that. Like I'm going to distance myself as
Mhm.
well. If you
Mhm.
maintain that mindset, that can help.
Mhm.
If you hang out with them all the time, you're pretty much going to be like them.
Mhm.
But yeah, and ultimately, you really got to start switching over to where you hang out with people that you admire, that
Mhm.
you want to be like, people that are living the life that you want to live, and spending more time with them. That's really the best thing you can do.
Okay.
So, like, if you want to get rich, go start hanging out at the country clubs,
Mhm.
at the golf courses, at the fancy hotels, at the fancy bars,
Mhm.
because like you need to start meeting those people
Mhm.
because that's who you want to be. So you need to fit in with that crowd. Um, yeah, if you want to be good at pool, go hang out at the best pool hall in your area with all the best players, and you need to start hanging out with them.
Mhm.
It's like whatever it is. Like
Mhm.
if you want to be good at, picking up women, you need to go hang out with a bunch of guys who are really good at that.
Mhm.
That needs to be your new friend group. Like whatever it is you want to become. If you
Mhm.
want to become like a bodybuilder, you need to go hang out with the most
Mhm.
muscular people in the gym. Like, it's like
Mhm.
that's just a smart strategy. So let's talk about some more stuff. I do think that in all human relationships, there's pretty much always one person who likes the other person more.
Sure. It's
So I
hard to
think
have perfect equality. Mhm.
yeah, I think human relationships are asymmetrical, like 99% of the time. That includes marriages, that includes friendships, that includes family, that includes siblings. I mean, it's just how it is. There's always one person who likes the other person more.
Mhm.
And I think we have to be aware of that because you need to be aware of the dynamic, you know, like so that you can make correct choices.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, if I know, you know, I like this person more than they like me, then I need to be careful not to overinvest
Yeah.
because I just need to be aware they're not going to do all the shit for me that I'm doing for them.
Mhm.
Like, you need to be aware of that. I think people want to kind of ignore that truth. It is
Mhm.
true, but I
Mhm.
think people want to ignore that. Um, you know, if the other person likes you more, I guess you sort of have more power in the relationship, but you don't feel the love as much. So you don't actually get to enjoy the relationship as much. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's the advantage of when you like the other person more. You actually enjoy the relationship more.
Mhm. Mhm.
The other person might have more power, but they don't get to enjoy it as much. So
Mhm.
it's just very, I'm not 100% sure how to manage that dynamic, but I think people need to be aware of it.
I have a question for you. As I was looking at doing this topic this week, some phrases come to mind. One of them is the phone works both ways.
Yes.
So there are some
That's
people who
perfect.
make an
Yeah.
effort to reach out and check in on somebody from time to time. Now, sometimes maybe it's the more extroverted, friends, or
Hmm.
someone who just has decided to value and prioritize this friendship. And so, hey, I haven't talked to this person in a month or in a week or whatever the cadence is. I think I'll just reach out and send a text, say, how's it going? You're on my mind. And then there are some people who say, I don't think this person's ever reached out to me. We only get together if I reach out to them.
That's
And then
exactly
there's
right.
the imbalance to be exploring.
And by the way, I think that is the perfect way to read a relationship is, does the other person reach out to you,
Hmm. Hmm.
or how often?
Hmm.
Like if the person never reaches out to you, they're not that into you. I mean, that's just a fact.
Right.
If they wanted to talk to you, like they would reach out. There's just no way around it. It's like when Jonathan was saying, if someone ghosts you, that's a paragraph.
Right.
That's a
If somebody
page long
goes to you,
essay.
that's a
That's
lot to
that's
say.
a book of
Hmm.
like, I don't give a shit about you anymore. I don't want to talk to you. I don't care.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, so
In these friends,
that's
you
what that
feel.
is. But it's very important to understand that people, and I'm going to say, especially women in a lot of ways, are not going to tell you the truth
Hmm.
about the reasons. Like they're
Right.
not, because they're just going to feel like, no, that's uncomfortable for me to say that. I
Hmm.
don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't want to feel like I'm a bad person. So you're not going to get the truth.
Hmm.
You might get ghosted. You're not
Yeah.
going to get the truth
Yeah.
about what it was. I mean,
Hmm.
way more men have been through this than women. It does happen to women too, but um, so you just got to realize, like, if someone's not reaching out to you, they don't like you, or they're
And
not
I
that into it.
And it's okay that, people are doing a sorting mechanism. That some
Hmm.
of these things, these connections are going to work better or last longer than others. You can have
Hmm.
casual friends, casual acquaintances you see 3 times a year. And then you can have people you really want to have your inner circle friend group. And
Yeah.
that's, of course, a much smaller cultivating activity than the broad outer friends. I think in the idea of friends as utility, in your strategy of, be around people already good at something you want to be good at,
Hmm.
you are around them as a utility for you. How does it
Hmm.
feel for the person providing that utility? Oh, you want to be around me because you want to learn about how to invest or because you want to improve your jump shot or because whatever. So I get what
So
for you, that person may be asking, what's in it for me? You're
the
getting utility from me. What am I getting from you? So something to think about. Both people make a contribution in this exchange. Are you bringing a contribution
so
or is
what I was
taking
gonna
one?
say to that
Yeah.
is, you got to add value. You got to learn how to add value. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you want to learn how to, be rich, and you go hang out at the super fancy bars
Hmm.
where it's,
Hmm.
$40 for a drink or something.
Hmm.
You know, you like, if they're gonna take you on and kind of show you how to invest, you got to add value. Like, you got to charm them. You got to build rapport. You got to say, "Hey, I'll help you for free. I'll be an intern. Let me
Hmm.
just learn the ropes.
Hmm.
I'll be your assistant for free, or I'll work for minimum wage
Hmm.
till I
Hmm.
learn the ropes. And once I prove my value, we
Hmm.
can hire me as a,
hmm
correct traditional salary, and I can work up
hmm
from there." You have to, like, understand, what's this person missing in his life. Could this
hmm
guy use, like, just a really fun friend,
hmm
or could this woman use an unpaid assistant for a while?
hmm
Like, what where can I add value so
Yeah.
that they want to
Yeah.
add value to back to me? Like, you have to just understand how the game is played. Like, you got to
Yeah.
understand social dynamics. Sometimes it's enough to just be charming,
hmm
just be fun, just be funny, and
People want
they'll
to be
throw some
around
things out.
you. People know that
Yeah,
it's a good time if they spend time with you.
maybe you can connect them to other things they need. Like, maybe you're good at picking up women,
Hmm.
and this guy makes a ton of money in finance, but he's horrible with women. Hey,
Hmm.
man, I'll get you a girlfriend, dude.
hmm
Trust me.
hmm
But show me the ropes at your company. Let me work as an intern. I'll
Mhm,
take you out to the clubs.
mhm,
I'll be the wingman. I'll
mhm,
get you in there. We'll get you someone.
mhm,
Like, what value does this person need? And then you
mhm,
got to provide that.
mhm,
So that's a good thing. So I also think it's really good in today's world to just not have expectations
mhm,
for friendships or for any relationship. Like literally, people's consciousnesses are changing a lot very rapidly. So there's no stability in relationships right now. There isn't. People are changing very quickly. They're changing their viewpoints, their experience of life, of reality is changing, their way they identify themselves is changing, what they're learning about the world is changing. Like, so it's a very difficult time to preserve relationships
mhm,
because people are changing and it's going to get worse, I think. I mean, I'm just saying, I think people are going to be changing even more in the next few years.
mhm,
So it's kind of being shaken out right now. We're seeing who filters to this side, who filters here, who filters there. And it's like,
mhm,
so yeah, I think that's good. Like, and for whatever relationship you're in, you really need, it's good to match their energy, their frequency. So you got to know like how much, like how they see you and match that. Like put them in the same category.
mhm,
And that way, like it's even keel,
mhm,
you know? Like, do they see you as a close friend or they just see you as like an acquaintance, like just a buddy
mhm,
I'll see around?
mhm,
You gotta match that.
mhm,
When if you're dating a girl, does she see you as like this is just a fun hookup, or does she see you as a relationship, or are you actually the side guy, but she's not telling you that?
mhm, mhm,
So you gotta like pick up the signals, and people aren't gonna be honest a lot of times.
mhm,
So you gotta pick up the signals and match energies so that you're not like thinking it's something more than it is, and then
mhm,
you become disappointed or disillusioned or whatever. You gotta match. So
mhm. I think, our premise, a life designed is that you can design your life.
yeah.
And when you bring conscious attention, when you bring introspection to the components of your life, including your friendships, you can be inspired to um, move in the direction of what's most fulfilling for you, what is most beneficial for you. And
Mhm.
that might be it might include expanding your friendships, um, deselecting some friends, turning down the amount of time you spend with someone. And
Mhm.
so, or just acknowledging this thing is super important to you and you're spending your time on it now. It's of very little importance to me. And so go get that thing, friend, and
Mhm.
let's just chat at the end of the month and kind of catch up. I want to continue to know you. I have no interest in this thing, but it's super important to you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change how I view you, but I see the amount of time you're going to spend on that. And
Well,
so,
and that's
yeah,
great, and that's
be
how it should
conscious
be.
about those things. Yeah.
So that's great, and that's how it should be handled. But a lot of people aren't mature enough to even handle that conversation.
Sure.
So like literally, you got to understand, just people in general got to understand, like there's a lot of people who can't handle the direct confrontational conversations, even when they're like minor level. Not majorly heavy, but like even just minor. Yeah, there's a lot of people who can't even handle that. They're just gonna freak out. They're gonna flip out. They're gonna get upset. You can't even do that. So, that's human consciousness. So, I mean, I was looking at something the other day. It was similar to the David Hawkins scale of consciousness, which you're familiar with.
Hmm.
But he was saying a lot of humans are still below the level of consciousness where they can take accountability.
Hmm.
So, what this is saying is some people are not at the state of being or at the level of consciousness where it's even possible for them to do that.
Mhm.
So what this means is if they were to take accountability, it would damage their self-esteem so much. It would make them feel so much shame. They literally cannot do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
They cannot go there.
Mhm.
The psyche is not capable of doing that. So when you're dealing with a person like that, no amount of talks is going to do anything. They can't do it. They literally
Mhm.
psychologically cannot handle this. So they don't see it as a positive. They don't see it as like, well, I'm learning and growing through taking responsibility, through taking accountability. I'm maturing. This is going to allow me to be better in my future relationships. This will allow me to make this relationship better with this person. They're not going to be able to see it that way.
Mhm.
And it's also not just a matter of lacking information.
Mhm.
Like if you explain this stuff to them, that does not necessarily matter.
Yeah.
There's literally a certain state of consciousness,
Mhm.
a level of being that has to get unlocked before that type of information can register and
Mhm.
click
Mhm.
and settle into the person, and they can actually perform those types of self reflection processes, and they can actually accept that. So I think it's really important to be aware of that. State of consciousness is a real thing. It's not just all about information and education.
Mhm.
There's states of being, states of consciousness, which unlock more capacities to do things within yourself, like take accountability. And when people are not at that level, no amount of talking about it, presenting information is gonna change them. So,
I remember a story that Alex Hormozy told. He's very big in the entrepreneurial circles on YouTube and so on. And he decided he was in back east. I'm not sure if it was Boston. And he had a crew that he ran with in high school and college, and they were close friends. And he thought, if I don't go out and try to start my own gym, I have an opportunity in California. If I don't pick up stakes and try, I think I can see my future. I'm like the five friends I'm surrounded by, and it's the high school friends and the college friends, and we're still running around and driving fast cars and slamming beers or whatever. And I want more for myself. So I'm going to pick up stakes and go. His family really didn't understand. His friends didn't understand. And sometimes you find in former friend groups a kind of arrested development. They're
mm-hmm,
still super invested in their football team being
mm-hmm,
successful, the one they watch
mm-hmm,
on TV, or they're super invested in the energy around the place. I'm from Boston, and this is what that means.
mm-hmm,
Boston, born and bred. And you may feel like I'm from Boston too, but I don't really connect with how important the place is to you. So he came back 5 years later to be at home with his family on the holidays, and the friend group came around and they tried to loop him into, hey, we're going to go, do this thing, and we're going to, hit some clubs, or we're going to do. And Alex was like, my Christmas season in the gym business is the month of January. We do 80% of our revenue or something. So it's the Christmas holidays, but I have so much work. I've come back to try to connect with family and so on, but the time that I'm not at family dinners or gatherings, I'm kind of doubling down on work. It's my key season. And they felt rejected by him, like, you're better than us now, or and he said, I'm just prioritizing differently.
mm-hmm,
I really want to be successful, and I've made commitments to people about getting their gyms up and running. So
mm-hmm,
this is my focus now. That doesn't denigrate you. I just have a different focus. That's not
yep,
how they took it. But he had to be willing to be kind of exiled from that friend group to achieve his goals. And so
yep,
when you talk about accountability, there's a courage component also, to have the courage to say, I'm making different
yeah.
choices. That's going to be
There,
okay with you, or it's not going to be okay with you. Just let me know.
and
You
I
know.
mean, I'll just tell you, it's not gonna be okay with your past people. I mean, generally speaking, you're gonna just have to move beyond them. I mean, that's just generally what's gonna happen. But
Mm.
Yeah, there's definitely a courage component. Um, that's a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. It's really rare. I don't think I've ever really seen in my physical life, I don't think I've ever really seen a group of friends evolve and grow together.
Mm,
I don't think I've ever seen it. I know there must be some people out there who have done it,
mhm,
but generally, if it's the same group of friends, it's going to be stuck in the same energies
mhm,
for years, and
mhm.
it's going to stagnate. It's not going to grow and evolve together.
Well, and
Now, I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be possible, but I never seem to see that happen.
I think, one of the perspectives you can have from a coaching point of view is it's okay if you've climbed on a bandwagon and you love it there. You love being a Cubs fan. You love that you understand small brew batches of beer. You are into it. You're going to be a part owner, or you're putting bourbon in barrels. There's certain areas of your life that you find pleasure and joy and you're interested in, and you stay on that. And then you have a friend group also interested in that thing, as we
Mhm.
described. And you can stay in that for a while. And I was thinking about whether it's the politics you have or the eating regimen you're on or your religious preferences or the town you grew up in, there's this fun bandwagon feeling that you're birds of a feather. We have
Mhm.
this shared
Yep.
foundational agreement that we tell jokes about the Cubs or
Yep.
that we have an opinion about the quarterback or fantasy football teams or something. And so it's nice to have some friend groups where you have a shared interest, and it may not be the most important thing to you, but there's a sense of comfortable familiarity, the
Yeah.
inside jokes that you tell about the thing you like,
Mhm.
and you have that circle of people that's familiar with. But
Yeah.
then when you step out of it, it can feel foreign, like you're not part of the in crowd anymore. You're not birds of a feather anymore. You're the one that doesn't belong anymore.
Mhm.
So I think that there's a harmony you can have in your life to say, these are my friends that I play poker with. They don't cross over into my work life or into my
Mhm.
personal life. Once a month, I
Mhm.
play poker at this poker club, and that's how I know them. And to have that be separate and have that be great. It doesn't have to cross over. Alex
Yep.
Hermosi's, multi-million dollar enterprises now don't cross over with his friends from high school. He doesn't dislike them. He doesn't prioritize the amount of to spend time with them. They're still great guys. They just don't cross over very often. And so how to maintain, a positive orientation to people you've cared about even if you don't invest time and energy in the things they're investing time and energy in. And as you say, the other person on the other side has to agree to that. They might say, look, you never come into the bar anymore. I never see you at the gym anymore. You're never available when I want to shoot hoops. And so kind of our friendship is over. And you could say, yeah, I haven't had time to shoot hoops in like 6 months. I get it. I probably won't have time in the next 6 months. And so I understand. I'll reach out to you and see if you want to shoot the next time I'm available on a Saturday to go to the park or whatever and shoot hoops or the gym. But yeah, I've got another thing dominating my life right now, and it's taken up all my time and energy. So not against you. I just don't have time for our shared activity. And to try to have a conscious understanding that we may be in a friendship decoupling about this rather than you're a jerk or I hate you or you know what I mean, to just do it more
Yeah.
consciously.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, that's a good way to do it. Again, I don't know if people are mature enough to do that, but um, Sadhguru talks about how relationships are extremely fragile, and I totally agree. I completely agree with that. And he's like, just notice if you don't do the same things you used to do, that friendship is dead.
It
Like
can
if
be.
you don't if you don't laugh at the same jokes,
Mm,
it's just awkward now. Like you have to maintain the same like energy. You have to keep giving the same things. Like you have to keep giving the same response of like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll meet up. And you got to laugh at the same jokes and you got to kind of talk about the same topics. If you're not maintaining all of those things,
Mhm,
it starts to fizzle out.
mhm,
It literally is like a lot of I don't know work and you got to like keep that up if you want to have that friendship. And when you're enjoying that process,
mhm,
that's no problem. That's great.
mhm,
But if you get to the point where it feels like work,
mhm. Well,
it's kind of dying. Yeah.
sometimes those circumstances, I had a friend who was a very good therapist. We'd refer clients back and forth to each other. He was in his early 70s, and he was one of the people that goes on the 50-mile bike rides or 100-mile bike rides, with the little
Hmm.
30-ounce bikes you could lift with a finger. That was his hobby.
Hmm.
And it was his fitness. And a lot of his friend group were people like that. And the only reason they would know them is because they also ride these bikes on these long treks. So
Hmm.
all kinds of different work that they do or different kinds of people, but they have these bikes in common. Then he needed a knee replacement. And so he was laid up for like 6 months before he was on another ride. And of course, he lost touch with the people that are going on these monthly rides because he was sidelined with an injury and a knee replacement. And so
Yeah.
some of the people reached out and made an effort to maintain a friendship with a phone call or I'll run, if you're up and around, let's meet up for lunch. And others, they knew I just see him if we're on a ride together. And if we're not on a ride together, I don't see this guy. Both of those things can work as long as you just sort of self-identify where you are in those things. So
Hmm.
one of the challenges of working with coaches, because you're in one place and you want to be in another place and you're trying to figure out how to cross the distance.
Hmm.
A limiting belief can be if I quit being vegan, I'll lose all my friends, you know?
Hmm.
Or if I stop riding bikes, I'll never hear from these people that I think of as
Hmm.
friends and I like to catch up with them, but my knee is being replaced. And so the limiting belief might be my friend group, my support group, my worldview is going to change if I take on this new thing. And I'm not sure I want to take on the new thing and get rid of 10 friends. Like, what is the cost to me
Hmm.
if I make this change? And it could be you have to
Yep.
make the change anyway. That's part of the courage component is I'm going to make
Yep.
the change anyway. And for others, it holds them back. Like, I'm not sure I can handle that much change and give up this other thing. I knew a doctor who felt like he had arrested development because he spent 10 years in medical school, getting his practice up and running once he came out, deciding whether or not to do rounds at a local hospital. But he spent this huge chunk of time becoming a doctor. When other
Hmm.
people started families, they're now
Hmm.
a vice president in a corporation, and you're
Hmm.
at go, for being your life as a doctor because it took so long to just get to go. And so
Hmm.
you're now sort of out of whack with what your friend group was because you had this deep, long investment in becoming who you are now. And so you're starting a family at 40 instead of, in 20s or 30s, and you're not climbing a corporate ladder, you're doing something else. So, yeah, different circumstances can, you know, we encourage people to know thyself. You know, what
Yep.
can you handle? What is the challenge you're facing? What are the consequences of making the leap, in this thing that you want to do or accomplish? And
Yep.
sometimes it's not on purpose, like your knee gave out. You know, so
So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And I also think, sometimes for a lot of people, the best thing to do is get a cat or get a dog. Seriously.
mm,
I understand that mindset. I actually get that.
mhm.
I think, at some point I might just get a dog and there you go. Man's best friend. Um, I mean, I have friends here. I've made some foreigner friends, some local friends, but
Mhm,
and I do enjoy that and I like having that, but
mhm,
Personally, I have so much experience with relationships just not working out, really, of any kind, that I'm
Mhm.
just not inclined to invest a lot of emotion or energy or time into it. That just does not make sense for me.
Mhm.
Um, I see people and I enjoy them and I have fun, but I'm just lighthearted with it. I don't think it means anything
Mhm.
beyond just like I see you here and there and we have fun. I
Mhm.
just don't assume
Mhm.
anything beyond that.
Mhm.
Um, so that honestly works well for me at this point in my life. So
Mhm.
I do understand that mindset of like literally a cat lady or a dog person. Um, I think it's good to be a friend to yourself.
Mhm.
Continuing the same line of thinking, like, how can you be more of a friend to yourself? How can you do more self-care? How can you take care of yourself better?
Mhm.
I think that's a fantastic thing to do.
Mhm.
Um, whether that's, going to the sauna or, whatever it is for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Listening to music and just, sipping on a cup of tea, just kind of like letting yourself de-stress and wind down. Like what does being a friend to yourself look like, and that'll be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I have some thoughts about that, particularly for women,
yeah,
because we are more hesitant to be harsh in our language to our friends. And then sometimes a coach or a therapist will say, let's look at your self-talk.
yeah,
And the things you say to yourself, would you say those to a friend? And you're usually more harsh with yourself, like,
yeah,
when am I going to lose the last 10 pounds from my third child? Or,
yeah,
why can't I get along with this person? And you can be very self-critical in your internal conversation and speak to yourself in ways you would never speak to a friend. So one of the
yeah,
ways to be a friend to yourself is to talk to you like you're a friend. Like, hey, I know you're trying. Like, let's decide that next week we're going to do some research and find another way. The woman who went from vegan to carnivore, she started exploring. I've tried everything. I've been dedicated to this thing. I'm still sick. I'm going to try
mhm,
something else. And
mhm,
so, whatever that looks like, and then deal with the fallout of what those changes are.
mhm,
And then we all sort of weigh the consequences. I have a friend that was in the entrepreneurial community. And for the first 2 years of our friendship, it was very much a back and forth. We had a two-way street of helping each other, doing referrals and so on. And then it turned into a one-way street. I need you for this. Can you help me with that? Oh, hey, I wanted to run this by you. And about 6 months of that, I realized, wow, this is just converted. And so I straight up asked her to do something for me just to see, to test the water.
yeah.
I
Good,
guess it's
good.
kind of a friendship shit test, I guess.
Well,
And
that I agree with that one. Yeah,
yeah, hey,
yeah,
could you do this? And it was a day before I heard from her. And then she said no. And I'm like, I'm free. This
yep,
two-way street is closed. I'm putting
exactly.
up the barriers. This two-way street is closed.
And so
And
many
that's how
people
it is.
are,
Not a bad feeling. I don't hate
yep.
her. It's just, wow, I'm not going to be used anymore. Is devolved into that. And I checked, and sure enough, yeah, what can I do for her is the only
And
conversation we're going to have. So, yeah.
with certain people, that's the only way you can have a relationship with them.
Mhm.
They're only looking for people they can use.
Right.
Like they're only looking for people that just give them a bunch of benefits. They don't have any intention of
Hmm.
ever doing anything for you.
Hmm.
And you find that out as soon as you ask them to do
Hmm.
something for you. That's why I recommend that.
Hmm.
If you've done something for someone else,
Hmm.
ask them to do something for you.
Hmm.
If that's like similar
Of course.
into how
Of
much
course.
effort is required. Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
a similar type of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if they're like, nah, then I'm like, nah.
Then it's like being ghosted. You have your answer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Cool. So I
Right,
know where we're at. Like,
right.
then they
Hmm.
come and ask you for something else. Nah,
Yep.
I'm
I'm not
busy.
available.
I
Yep.
lost my phone.
Yeah.
Like I mean, because it's like I'm not gonna do the non-mutual thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's whatever like level of mutualness we have, like
Hmm.
that's what we have.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go up here when you're down here with anyone.
Hmm.
like
Well, it's a more
girlfriends, friends,
honest
like
way to be
anyone.
interacting.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. It's
not
just I'm gonna do the
harboring
mutual.
anger,
Yeah,
harboring upset. You're
yeah,
just like, okay, I think this is complete.
yeah.
We're done. And it's okay to be done. I'll invest my time wisely. You do the same, invest time. They're going to give you what you're looking for. That's not me anymore. And it's fine. Well, let's do a little wrap up. I know
Nope.
you
I
have had
still I
it.
still got some more
Oh,
I
I'm,
gotta
I'm so
do.
sorry. And then I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about digital nomad friends because you're on your fourth country, and I know that's sort of unique to your friendship development.
All right. So, so Eckhart Tolle, he just put out something and he said, think of the moment as your friend. The moment itself is a friend to you, whatever moment you're in. And I think that's a great way to look at things. If you can master being at peace in the moment, if you can master appreciating the moment, if you can master enjoying the moment, savoring the moment, then you've basically mastered life because that's all life is. It's just moments. So learn to see every moment as a friend, a teacher, a blessing to yourself. And you're going to have to like reformat your consciousness 1,000 different ways to really truly download this lesson.
Mhm, mhm,
Because if you're just sitting at the DMV filling out paperwork, you need to see that as your friend,
mhm,
that moment.
mhm,
Like if you're just sitting at a traffic light, you need to see that moment as your friend. That moment has a way to bless you,
mhm,
has a way to teach you,
mhm.
and learning to be present with that and to appreciate that and be at peace with that and enjoy that. That's a master life skill. So
Kind of a
seeing the
friendly
moment,
mindfulness.
yeah, so you could say it that way, yeah.
Hmm.
So that's a fantastic thing to do. And then you're building your happiness on an extremely solid foundation because you will always have moments.
Mhm,
If
mhm.
you try to build your happiness on money or a relationship or
Other
social status,
people.
that's
Mhm,
up and down. That's
mhm,
not a solid foundation.
mhm,
That's like building your house on sand in the Bible. You got to build it on
mhm,
stone or
mhm,
concrete. If you learn how to appreciate every moment, that's building your happiness on
mhm,
stone
mhm,
because you always have moments.
mhm.
So, um, there's that. So, I'm also going to talk about, I think there is kind of a friend crisis specifically for middle-aged men.
I
So,
see
let's
that
talk
in my
about
coaching
this.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's talk about this. Largely because men are so horribly demonized in Western society, and that society is still not willing to fully admit that, but that is the truth. Um, and so I really think women don't understand this, and I'm going to explain something. I also think most women don't really care that much, but we'll talk about it. Um, I don't think women like in general understand. I'm not saying every woman, but I don't think women in general understand. There is a general disdain and disrespect for men now that men have to deal with in basically every interaction in Western countries now. Like, I mean, I felt this a lot, and I'm sure many other men have felt this. Like, you can't just go up to people as a man and just be like, hey, people suspect you of something. Okay. So you don't have the same
Social permissions.
social grace,
Mhm,
benefit of the doubt,
mhm,
social permissions to just be able to go up and talk to people like women have.
mhm,
You just don't.
mhm.
And this is not something feminists are talking about, like they don't care, but this is a real issue now. Um, like for example, I just saw a comedian. He had a video. He was trying to go to Legoland. They literally would not let him in because he's a single man.
Oh my gosh.
They said, we don't let single men in here.
Wow.
You have to
Okay.
be with a woman or with kids.
Wow.
I mean, that's literally discriminating against men. literally.
Right.
Um, so, and I think women don't understand how much of that there is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think women understand how much like men deal with like scornful looks from women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they, women give you those kind of looks like because they don't want you to approach, or they think you're looking at them or something, and they take offense to it. There's such a disdain and disrespect towards men passively going on all the time in Western culture now. Um, Not to mention a lot of the laws have taken away men's rights and are against men, and I could go into that more. But yeah, it's also the culture and the societies against men. So it's very like the vibe, the right vibe is not there for
Mm-hmm.
men to just go and like easily make friends. It's much more available for women to do that. The social permission
Mm-hmm.
is, you have much more freedom socially as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't just giving you like scornful,
Mm-hmm.
resentful looks for no reason. You're
Mm-hmm.
you're not really getting that as
Mm-hmm.
women. So, and I don't think they understand how much men are getting that. Um, so there's that. And yeah, but to, I also think there's a big issue with like screen time addiction now, especially in the younger generation, but I mean it can affect anyone now really. And people are losing their social skills
Yeah, no, it's true.
from just being on the iPad and the phone and the
Mm-hmm.
computer and the game system all the time and the
Mm-hmm.
TV. And so that's another barrier now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a technological barrier that's been introduced to creating new friends or meeting new people. Is I think screen time has created more people social anxiety. They
Mm-hmm.
just don't feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
approaching people and striking up,
Well,
conversations.
the parasocial, relationships of we're chatting on a live YouTube stream, and I'm
Mhm.
there every week and these other screen names and it seems like a friendship. It's obviously not an actual friendship. You guys are in the same digital screen at the same time. And
Yeah,
so, or friends on Facebook or friends on.
yeah,
So I think some people reach out in that way because there's less of a barrier, but they don't substitute for someone you can call and say, I had a really shitty day and I want to talk to you about it, or I just
yeah.
got promoted and I'm so excited and I want to tell you about it. So that's what the supportive nature of, a more fully realized friendship is. But some people are settling for online friends or screen friends because it's
Mhm.
what's available. It's easier to access. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And but I do think so. You asked about being a digital nomad and making friends. I think, the best thing for me is that I play pool. So I have a hobby where
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy to make friends. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I go to a pool one night, I might make, two or three friends sometimes
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
exchange information, and I'll meet up with them
Well,
again
and you
and
have
again.
that instant commonality.
Yeah.
But you've someone you like to shoot pool with. Yeah.
So that's a great way. Like if you are going to start traveling to other cities, other states, other countries, it's great to have a hobby like that
Mm-hmm.
where it's very easy to meet a lot of different people and make
Mm-hmm.
new friends, new acquaintances, meet new
Mm-hmm.
people. Pool is probably the best hobby I could think of for that. Like
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the number one.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to think of. I mean, you can go to bars
Mm-hmm.
or something like that or clubs,
When the
but
weather's good, you see outdoor chess groups like on picnic benches in parks and stuff. And so there are
mhm,
some other things. Yeah, but pool is
yeah.
indoors and worldwide available. Mhm.
Yeah, so that's a great thing to have. I mean, I think what Justin, he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Mhm.
And so, he was in Brazil. You can go to Brazil, you could go to some
Mhm.
dojos there, whatever they're called,
Mhm. Mhm.
and meet people through that. If you have a hobby like that, that works good
Mhm.
for making new friends.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think also, as far as what you're saying about having someone you can call and relate to on an emotional level, like on a more personal level.
Mhm.
There's such a thing also with men in the West. There's such a like a
Like an
homophobia.
inhibition or
Well,
a,
no, there's such a like men are supposed to be stoic and not
mhm,
have to supposed to have all these emotions, and
mhm,
women
mhm.
women contribute to this a lot, although I don't think they're going to admit that, but they do. Um, so it's like seen as very unmasculine, very feminine to express your emotions that way, or whether you're doing it with your girlfriend, expressing to her, or whether you're doing it with your guy friends. And on a certain level, I agree with that. If you're just like complaining, or you're just like going on and on. But if you have some really deep stuff, I don't think it's feminine at all. You need to get it off your chest.
Oh, it's
You
human.
you
It's not
you need
feminine
to
or
just
masculine, it's
yeah.
human.
Yeah,
Hmm.
if you're like complaining and like going on and on, yeah, it's not masculine. But if you just need to just talk something out for a
Hmm.
few minutes,
Hmm.
like honestly, that's just healthy. That's not
Hmm. Hmm.
unmasculine. That's it, it's not feminine. Like that just makes sense. You're sorting out your emotions in your mind, you're sorting out your psyche. Like that's just healthy. Um, so yeah, so that's another aspect of that. Um, as far as male, friendships go. Yeah. So I think we covered a lot of good points.
Hmm. Well, I think friendships can be really rewarding and they can be done consciously. And I think if you can have some compassion and grace for the idea that friendships will change over time because change is the only constant. And so,
Yeah.
you'll see people more, see them less, more involved in your shared activity or less. Some people move away and they rebuild friend groups in the place that they've arrived at. And, to have compassion and grace for your changing nature, their changing nature, and be open to, we're more distant friends, or we need to look at how we would rebuild our friend group. Maybe we talk to each other once a month,
Mhm.
no matter what, because we want to hang on to this, but we aren't going to bump into each other anymore. So, yeah, I think is an important part of a happy life, um, and can be done consciously if you choose to do that. So when you're designing your life, think about your friendships.
Yes, absolutely. And I was gonna say something, but I just completely forgot it. Um, but yeah, you were saying allowing for change in friendships, and I totally agree that that's where we need to go. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think most people
Mhm,
are good at doing that yet.
mhm,
But I think where we need to go from here is we need to learn to enjoy people in new ways.
mhm.
Like you have to create that space in consciousness
Yes,
within yourself
yes.
where you can do that. So as someone changes
Mhm,
their personality or their lifestyle or their worldview, learn to enjoy the new side of them. That's a
yes.
skill you have to develop.
Don't
Like if
require
you
an
don't,
identical match. Don't
yeah,
require lockstep. Mhm,
and learn to enjoy the friendship being in a new way.
mhm,
Learn to enjoy the friendship having new qualities, and learn to be cool with not expecting people to be the same, and making peace with that, allowing that.
mhm,
Like these are things you're gonna have to teach yourself, like making space
mhm,
in your consciousness for that.
mhm,
Um, I don't think we're there yet, but I think
mhm,
people need to head in that direction as
mhm,
humanity
mhm,
grows up.
mhm. Yay. Well, thanks for your great perspective today. I think it's a very useful topic, and I hope those that have watched today have learned something about how to make and maintain friendships because they add value to our lives. Well,
Love it.
okay. Thanks so much. It was great to see you, Special K, and I'll see you
Yeah,
in the
you
next
too.
one. Okay.
Sounds good.